$400,000 annual salary. $200,000 vanishes to taxes, and yet the trader still feels financially trapped. Not broke, not struggling to pay rent, but trapped the sensation that a six-figure income is somehow generating no actual wealth. Why does this happen to the highest earners in the world's richest cities? In the next 8 minutes, we'll break down the exact tax and discretionary spending leak that drains high-income professionals, show you the real wealth comparison between a $400K earner and a $220K earner, and reveal the one decision point that reverses the trap. Because the research shows something counterintuitive. Earning more might actually slow your wealth accumulation. By the end of this video, you'll understand why a financial trader in Mayfair earning six figures feels less wealthy than you'd expect, and why that same dynamic is hitting high earners in New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles right now. And because the 2024-2025 tax planning window is closing, knowing this now could reshape your next 3 decades. Let's start with the tax math. A single filer earning $400,000 in 2024 enters the 37% federal marginal tax bracket. That's not the effective rate, that's the marginal rate on dollars earned above $578,100 for 2024. Before that, they are climbing through the 35% bracket at $231, $250 and above the 32% bracket, the 24% bracket. The blended federal effective rate for $400K earner sits around 32-33%, not 37%. But here's where it gets worse. Federal tax is only one layer. If that $400K earner lives in New York City, they're also paying New York state income tax. At $400K, New York's top marginal rate is 9%. Add New York City's local tax 85% on top earners. Add a 876% Medicare surtax on income over $200K for single filers per IRS publication 969. The net investment income tax, that's an additional 6% state and local bite on top of federal. Federal 32% effective plus state and local 6% effective equals approximately 6% marginal effective rate on the last dollars earned. But for $400K earner, let's calculate the actual outflow. Federal income tax alone runs roughly $128,000. Add New York State $43,600 and New York City local $19,400 and the Medicare surtax $7,750. Total tax bill $198,750. Basically the $200K figure our case study trader mentioned. That leaves $201,250 in gross to net income. Now, mandatory status spending begins. BLS Consumer Expenditure Survey data shows high-income households, $200K plus, in major metros allocate discretionary spending very differently than mid-income earners. Housing costs for $400K earner in Manhattan or central London aren't negotiable if they want to live near their workplace. $4, $500, $6. $500/month for a quality 2-bedroom, $54K, $78K annually. Add transportation, premium car lease, $600/month, $7, $200/year or private car service, $1,000+/month, $12K plus/year. Add professional wardrobe, $5K, $10K annually, not optional in financial trading. Add dining, daily lunch in financial districts runs $20, $40, or roughly $8K annually if you're eating professional standard meals. Weekend dining, memberships at clubs, Soho House, etc. Weekend travel to maintain status, another $15K, $25K annually. This isn't lavish consumption. This is the baseline cost of existing in the professional ecosystem where $400K earners operate. Research shows high earners in NYC and London allocate roughly 20-25% of after-tax income to these status-linked discretionary categories, $40K, $50K annually conservatively. Some traders report higher, $80K, $100K when you add weekend homes, international travel, or private school for children. Let's be conservative, $80,000 in annual discretionary spending tied to lifestyle and professional status. $201,250 after-tax income minus $80,000 status discretionary spending equals $121,250 actually available for savings, retirement contributions, and wealth building. That's a 60% leak rate on gross income before a single dollar is invested. Now let's compare to the $220K earner living deliberately. $220K single filer in the same high-cost metro faces roughly 35% total effective tax rate, federal plus state plus local all combined. Federal is roughly 24% effective, $52,800, state and local combined 11%, $24,200. Total tax, $77,000. After-tax income, $143,000. Here's where intentional living diverges. The $220K earner lives outside central Manhattan or London but proximate a $2,500/month apartment, $30K/year instead of $5,500. Uses public transit or a modest $300/month lease, $3,600/year. Professional wardrobe from mid-tier retailers, $3K/year. Dining more strategically. Pack lunch 4 days weekly, dine out $4K/year. No club memberships, 1 annual vacation, $3K/year. Total discretionary, $43,600 annually. $143,000 after tax minus $43,600 intentional discretionary equals $99,400 for savings. But here's the math that flips the narrative. $99,400 versus $121,250 is a $21,850 advantage for the $400K earner, right? Wrong, because we haven't factored in the wealth accumulation multiplier yet. The $400K earner feels like they're treading water because their actual savings rate is 30% of their $201K after-tax income. That's concerning. Most financial advisors recommend 20-30% of after-tax income for retirement and long-term wealth. But the psychological weight of earning $400K and saving only $121K is brutal. It feels insufficient. It feels like the income isn't generating security. The $220K earner, meanwhile, is saving $99,400, which is 69% of their after-tax income. That's extraordinarily high. Over 10 years, that's $994,000 in savings from salary alone before investment returns. The $400K earner saves $212,500 over the same period, only 22% more absolute dollars, despite earning 82% more income. But here's the wealth paradox. Compound growth and behavioral patterns flip this. The $220K earner living below their means with a 69% savings rate psychologically feels abundant. They're accustomed to living on less. They're not tempted to inflate spending when bonuses arrive. They're not carrying psychological weight from a six-figure income that doesn't feel wealthy. Over 10 years, if both invest their savings in diversified portfolios with a 7% real return after inflation, the $99,400/year saver accumulates roughly $1,444,000. The $121,250/year saver accumulates $1,761,000. The difference is $317,000 in absolute wealth, only 22% more, despite having earned nearly $2 million more in cumulative gross income. And that's before you factor in the lifestyle creep trap. When the $400K earner gets a $50K raise to $450K, lifestyle inflation typically absorbs 40–60% of it. The $220K earner, having built intentional spending habits, typically saves 70–80% of raises. This is the wealth paradox that research at the Federal Reserve and among high-income cohorts consistently reveals. Once you exceed $250K, $300K in household income, additional earnings correlate poorly with wealth accumulation. The leak rate widens faster than income rises. Why does this matter now in 2024–2025? Because the tax planning window for high earners is closing. If you're in the 35% or 37% federal bracket, your marginal tax rate is locked until tax law changes. State and local taxes are climbing in high-cost metros, and the psychological trap, earning high income and feeling financially trapped, is becoming the default condition for high earners in expensive cities. The one decision point that reverses this, intentional restructuring of lifestyle spending before lifestyle creep becomes normalized. A $400K earner who consciously limits discretionary spending to $40K, $50K, instead of the typical $80K, $100K, and invest the savings difference generates roughly $400K more wealth over a decade than someone who accepts the status quo. That's not a money problem.